Hello, hello, everybody. I am finally back. I'm so sorry it took me so long to get back. I've had a very busy couple of months. There's a lot going on for me personally, not necessarily in the TWD fandom, but I am going to try to get back to doing videos. I will say that while none of the shows are on, I will probably be a little bit less active for right now, just due to a high volume of personal work that I need to get done, and I might be moving soon. So there's, like I said, just a lot going on. So it might only be one video a week or something like that, but I will try to do as much as I can. And as soon as the shows start coming back, I think we're going to get Dead City first. Then I will probably be on more. So feel free to keep sending in your asks, and I will do the best I can to answer them. Thank you for all the sweet messages asking where I've been. I do appreciate that, and I'm sorry I couldn't get back sooner. I'm going to start by just doing a quick rundown of the things that I have heard lately, and I'm going to warn you, it's not a ton. I mean, there's been some filming spoilers, but nothing super groundbreaking, okay? So these are things that people have sent to me, and again, just not that much. We do know that Emily is back in Paris again, and that's really, really suspicious. She was posting pictures of places that we saw in Daryl Dixon in previous seasons, and she posted another picture of the Mona Lisa, which she had done once before, but she's doing it again. So the joke that we always kind of make, me and my fellow theorists, is that for somebody who has not had an acting job, apparently, for quite some time, she keeps traveling to Europe, and that's not a cheap trip, right? So she's been several times, and there are explanations that people put out there that I'm assuming they're getting from her or from following her about her following a guy over there or being there for her band or things like that. But it still is pretty suspicious on the money front because, I mean, it makes sense if she's working for someone and they're paying for her to go over there, such as going to the cons, earlier this year. Like, trust me, the actors don't make that much money at these Comic-Cons. They make a little bit, but they don't make very much. And I feel like it probably wouldn't even be enough to pay for her plane ticket. So it wouldn't really be worth it for her to go to a European con unless somebody else was paying for it. And she's done it several times now, and then all of a sudden she's back in Europe, and she's specifically back in France. So we, it's neither here nor there. It never is, but it's just super suspicious that she keeps going over there, and now she's there where they were filming. Even though I know they're in Spain now, it's still suspicious that now that they're in Spain, suddenly she's in France. And yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with that. Other than that, most of the spoilers I've gotten are just spoilers for Daryl Dixon season 3, and it's just like those typical things where they show you where they're filming and show you a few pictures of Norman or other people on set. So like I said, they haven't been terribly groundbreaking. One thing that's been interesting is that Melissa hasn't been seen overly much, and even her fans, the carolers, were picking up on that, and I could tell they were really nervous. They didn't know where she was or why she wasn't filming, and people, I think, were starting to wonder if maybe she gets killed off. Now, I don't think she gets killed off by any means, and she did finally show up just a few days ago. They said, okay, there she is. Now she's filming. But what that does tell us is that she may not have as much screen time in season 3, which makes sense. I mean, book 2 was the book of Carol, and that was dedicated to her book, season 3 doesn't have that subtitle anymore, so it's not going to be as much about Carol. So that makes sense. And I just kind of can't help but wonder if she and Daryl get separated. I mean, it feels like, I'm always saying that they're going to follow a template from season 5. And if that's the case, then she and Daryl probably will get separated. I mean, he might even go looking for her, and maybe she'll end up where Beth is. I mean, that's what happened in season 5, right? She ended up at Grady. So something like that. The fact that she was kind of missing from filming for so long was making me side-eye and wonder about that. But she does seem to be back now, and she is filming. I know people are asking about whether season 3 has wrapped. I do not keep very good tabs on which part they're filming, but I know that there's been at least some conjecture that they might be done filming season 3 and may have already started filming season 4. But again, take that with a grain of salt because I don't know for sure that that's true. That's most of what I have heard. Like I said, other details of various actors that have been on set, but nothing that, you know, really made me excited or jumping out of my skin or anything. I was just looking at something else. Oh, that was something Emily posted. Somebody sent me. She says, if it's your calling, it will keep calling. And people were talking about that because she's always said her true calling is acting, not singing. And it almost feels like a hint that maybe she's coming back around to acting. Of course, we've said that before. So we'll just have to wait and see. All right, let me, that's about where I'm at in terms of recent news. Let me look at some of your asks here. I do have a few of them. I probably won't get to all of them in one video, but I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to start trying to do them more often and do, even if it's only a video or two per week, I will try to do that. So I'm going to start at the older ones that I have not answered yet. And there's a few of these that I could swear I answered already, but I also couldn't find where I had answered them. So if I'm answering them in duplicate, forgive me. It also could be that I just read them some time ago and never got around to answering them, so it feels like I already answered them. Anyway, but if I'm answering them again, sorry, maybe I'll give some different insight this time around. Like I said, I'm going to start with the older ones that have been in the inbox for longer, and then I'll move forward. So let's just jump in with Beth Green Prevails. Hi friend, so I was watching your video from the other day and you said about the fleur-de-lis meaning lily flower, and that immediately made me think of the Monet painting Water Lilies in Daryl Dixon 104. Lily was also the name of Isabel's sister. The only thing I could think of to relate this back to Beth was that when looking at the painting, doesn't Daryl say something about it looking like home? So another home reference. So maybe lilies are where home is, and the fleur-de-lis lily flower was in the house where Daryl felt he wanted to settle down and make a home with Beth. Not sure where Isabel's sister comes in, other than yet again another sister dynamic just like Beth and Maggie. I don't know, just some thoughts. I'm sure you could think of another way to tie this in with Beth though. So yeah, that's really interesting. And the other thing I'm thinking of, let me check real fast. Okay, I wanted to check too because I was pretty sure that Tara's sister was also named Lily. So yeah, we definitely have some sort of pattern going on here about home and lilies and sisters. And keep in mind that we had the home sweet home, which Daryl said to Beth in Still. So that's definitely a Beth thing, the home sweet home. But when they did the episode called Home Sweet Home, which was one of the bonus episodes from season 10, that was all about Maggie. In fact, I think that was where she said Beth's name, wasn't it? When she was talking to Daryl and she said after Bethy died. So yeah, that's a really good pattern to pinpoint. I'd never noticed that before. So yeah, I think, I don't know exactly. So it's hard to know exactly what they're getting at as the meaning of a lily, but if you look up like the symbolic meaning of a lily, it can mean purity, love, and rebirth. So it is a resurrection symbol. Beyond that, that actually is pretty vague, but yeah, I mean, like you said, we've seen it more than once, and if he really did say it felt like home when it was water lilies, then that, yeah, that's important. I don't know that I have a whole lot more to say about it right now, other than, yeah, that's a great pattern to eyeball, and we need to keep an eye on it moving forward. I mean, Daryl is still really close to Maggie, even though we haven't seen them together a whole lot, and that's Beth's sister, so that I think kind of plays into it too. He understands the sister thing, and it can't possibly be a coincidence that they have both Tara's sister and Isabel's sister with that name. Not to mention both of them lost their sisters at one point, similarly to Maggie losing Beth. So I think that's part of it too. So yeah, that's a great observation. Thanks so much for sending that in, and let's keep an eye on that moving forward. It would be really interesting if that's the reason for the fleur-de-lis being there, because we've always seen that and, you know, in the background and thought of it as a Beth thing or a Bethyl thing, and we've never really known exactly why, but yeah, that could be why. If it's a resurrection symbol and it's specifically about sisters, that's super interesting. So thanks for sending that in. All right, Granny TWD, thanks for the opportunity to share thoughts on here. I imagine you and your peeps have already had this discussion, but just in case, can you imagine if the TWD audience woke up one morning to a promo video for Daryl Dixon Season 3 and it announced the title for DD3, Daryl Dixon, the Book of Beth? Especially if it was some months ahead. TDers would be over the moon and everyone else would have so much to ponder. Not going to happen, but I think it would be perfect. Yeah, I do too. I think it would be perfect too. I think that's more likely to happen like after they've revealed her. So, like, it might be something where, you know, if at the, say at the very end of season 3, we see her, so people know she's alive, and then the next season they would call it the Book of Beth. I could see something like that happening. But I don't think they would do it before she was revealed, because that would spoil the reveal. But like you said, we would love it if that happened. And yes, we have discussed that a lot, that we hope at some point there is a Book of Beth. So we're with you. Same thought process. Thank you. I think I'll always be Team Fence, because I think the original plan was to have her survive, but I don't know how long they're going to be filming in Spain. But I just wish for something hopeful and happy to happen to Daryl. They need to stop torturing him. I'll always want Beth back and believe she deserved better, but I don't think Daryl will ever be happy at this point. Well, I understand why you think that, but remember that at the beginning of Daryl Dixon season 1, we heard Judith's line about how he deserves a happy ending too. And that's one of the things that really keeps me going on this, because you got to understand, in terms of writing, they will always set the theme for what they're going for. Sometimes we have to hunt for it a little bit. Not so much in this case. It's pretty obvious with Judith's voiceover when he was floating near Spain that the whole point of the Daryl Dixon spinoff is for him to find his happy ending. Now, that in and of itself does not prove it will be Beth, but you all know that I believe it will be Beth. Either way, I mean, I could understand back before Isabel died, why people thought it might be her, because it was about a happy ending, and he did seem to be wanting a relationship with her. Obviously, that didn't happen. Not really, because, I mean, you know, a little bit, but it didn't get very far because she died. But he hasn't found his happy ending at the end of season 1, and he hasn't found his happy ending at the end of season 2, so his happy ending is still coming. They wouldn't have put that in the first episode of the first season if they weren't going to do anything with it, okay? And like I said, it doesn't prove that it's Beth, but you all know that I think it will be. So either way, let's put it this way, if by the end of the spinoff, no matter how many seasons it is, they pair him with someone else, and it truly does seem to be that he's happy with her, and then she gets to go home with him, and they're moving on together, at that point, then I will say, okay, it doesn't look like it's going to be Beth, you know, but we still have all this suspiciousness going on. So they haven't done that yet, and I'm nowhere near saying that yet. So I understand, but they have basically told us by putting that first line in there that this is about him getting his happy ending. And maybe it'll take 5 or 6 seasons, we don't know. But he's going to get whatever happy ending they're cooking up for him by the end of the spinoff. That's why that line is in there. So we're just waiting to see who it will be. And like I said, obviously, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Beth. So I understand, but try to remain hopeful. All right. Where are we at time-wise here? I will do one more. I don't mind going a little bit over because it's been a long time since I talked to you guys. All right. Sorry, I do not know how to say your name. Atram Regina Blue. I hope I'm saying that right. Hi, did the powers that be or Norman ever address why he doesn't go sleeveless anymore after season 6? I kind of think that after they broke him with Glenn and the cell, he had sleeves as a sort of protection and never again was so open as before, but maybe it was just too cold for Norman, so I was wondering if they ever said anything. As far as I know, they've never said anything, and there's been a lot of conjecture on this. I do think that it's purposeful that they took away the sleeveless shirt. Like you said, it could be that it's interesting, the way you put it, that he's wearing them for protection now. A lot of people have even conjectured that it might be more of a maturing thing, like that was him before. And I think you're right about Glenn. I mean, there was like his state of mind before Glenn and then his state of mind after Glenn. And that kind of tragedy would mature you a lot, you know, just because of the heartache of it. And you've been through a lot more now, you know. So it could be any of those things. A lot of us like to think that when Beth finally comes back and he finally finds his happiness, that we might see him being sleeveless again, because he was when he was with her. And so, like, he might finally, to put it in terms the way that you've worded it, he might finally feel safe enough to go without the sleeves again, you know. I don't think it would have been because he was too cold, because even when they hit cold weather, we would see him wearing heavier clothes. You know, he would still have the sleeveless underneath, but he would be wearing his poncho or a jean jacket or something like that. So I don't think it was ever about him being cold. But we do hope that we'll see it again. And, you know, they've never said anything, but that's exactly the kind of thing that they're not going to say anything about. They just put it out there and kind of let us interpret it ourselves. So I don't know that they ever will say anything, but if we do see him going sleeveless again at some point in the future, it will actually be very telling based on when he does that. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it and see where it goes. All right, guys, I'm going to call it there for today. Thank you so much for being patient with me and sending in your asks. Please continue to do that. And like I said before, as I did with Clara, if there's anything you want me to deep dive into, just let me know and I will get to it as soon as I can. But I will try to get at least one video a week out until, you know, the next season of whichever spinoff starts. So I'm glad to be back and discussing again, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.